slowly shuts down. Charles Stratford has more.
Their hands are bound behind their backs, weapons and ammunition strewn among them. Libyan authorities say these men tried to overthrow the Gaddafi government. Some of the men are moving. The pictures aired on Libyan state TV. In another clip, a man describes what he says are weapons seized from an Algerian national who entered the country with the aim of assassinating officials. The authorities say these are Egyptian passports, seized along with mobile phones and CDs. A man describes information which he says was found on the CDs, detailing instructions about sabotage. Minutes later, more men appear on camera in what seems to be heavily edited segments of taped confessions. This man says he broke into an army base and stole Kalashnikovs. An official from the Popular Committees for General Security says all weapons stolen must be returned.
We are calling on anyone who took weapons must return them to the popular social committees in their areas. No legal action will be taken against those who return the weapons and regret taking them.
Pictures like this serve to demonstrate the standoff that's now holding in Libya. The people of the uprising say victory will be theirs. This is the town of Misrata in western Libya, which has reportedly fallen to the opposition. If these pictures are accurate, then they would seem to bear that out. The international media is now beginning to find its way into Libya. These pictures show pro-democracy supporters celebrating their control of the city of Benghazi, but interpreting the direction events are heading in remains as difficult for people in the country as it does for the outside world. This video purports to show the aftermath of fighting on the streets of Tripoli between pro- and anti-Gaddafi forces. It's been widely reported from the capital in Benghazi that gangs of yellow-hatted militia have been given free rein to move house to house in the hunt for the opposition. Gaddafi's tactics have enraged even those who know him well.
He's using mercenaries, not because he wants to use them, because he cannot use the army. He cannot use the armed forces of Libya because they are Libyans and they are faithful and honest people. They will not kill themselves, because killing their cousins and uncles and friends, it means that they are killing themselves. So he doesn't trust them. He doesn't trust even his own guard.
Video emerges all the time showing chaos and the danger which protesters often run headlong into. Here, for instance, there seem to be snipers on the roof of a building opposite. A small crack is heard and a man goes down, shot in the groin. Another rumour, again unverifiable unless it happens, is that Gaddafi has threatened to blow up his oil pipelines, which would bring havoc to the country already beset by poverty and would have ramifications on oil prices across the world. Charles Stratford, AlJazeera.
And the UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon has expressed grave concern over events in Libya. He condemned attacks against civilians and said those responsible must be punished. Kath Turner reports now from New York.
The violence in Libya continues and Colonel Gaddafi is still clinging to power, and the world is looking to the United Nations for action.
The Security Council, as you know, is meeting today to assess the situation and determine whether there are steps the international community can and should take.
Would I like us to go further and have a full United Nations Security Council resolution? Yes, I would.
But at UN headquarters in New York on Wednesday...
Mr. Ambassador, any discussion about Libya today at all?
Sanctions. I've heard about that.
Morning, Mr. Ambassador. Any talk about sanctions on Libya today at all? Anytime soon?
The UN Secretary-General cut short a domestic trip and returned to New York for talks with his senior advisers on Libya. But when he emerged to talk to the media, Ban Ki-moon did not stray from his previous statements.
So there are calls in the international community, Mr. Secretary-General, for no-fly zones, for sanctions, and yet after 3 hours of negotiation, the Security Council came out with a statement, not even a presidential statement. Are you satisfied with that?
The situation is developing rapidly toward a very dangerous situation. Therefore, we need to very carefully monitor the situation. I will continue to urge in the strongest possible terms for us to stop violence, protect the human rights and the civilian population.
International frustration is growing over the United Nations' apparent lack of action.
Well, you have to get the political consensus first. That produces some words, and then from those words, hopefully you get some real action.
The Security Council remained mute during the uprisings in Tunisia and Egypt. The governments collapsed with relatively little violence. The use of mercenaries and aerial attacks on unarmed Libyans has alarmed the international community, and yet the response from the Security Council may be similarly weak.
Understandably, a few members of the Council are quite cautious about invoking sanctions. Sometimes you don't know exactly who's going to be hurt and whether they're going to make a difference or not.
Several observers are calling on the International Criminal Court to investigate possible crimes against humanity. But its chief prosecutor says Libya does not recognise the ICC's powers. The only way it can step in is if Libyan authorities accept the ICC's jurisdiction or if the UN Security Council refers the situation to the court. The United Nations Human Rights Council will hold a special session on Friday to discuss Libya, but already its draft resolution is being criticised for not going far enough. Kath Turner, AlJazeera at the United Nations, New York.
Well, let's speak now to a Libyan woman who wants to remain anonymous. She's in Ras Al Nouf, around 400 kilometres west of Benghazi. Thank you for joining us live on Al Jazeera. Just tell us what you can see right now and what you've experienced in the last few days.
Well, actually, now we are in Ras Al Nouf, but last week we were in Benghazi. So we could hear in the night, over the night, the sounds of the gunshots. Safely we could come here. Here it is safe because it's a very quiet country. It is oil and gas processing companies.
Do you know who was doing? Do you know who was firing? Was it mercenaries? Was it the military? Was it the militia? Do you have any idea?
Witnesses, our friends, our neighbors told that they are Africans wearing yellow hats and shooting randomly on the people. But Libyan guys could catch them and they killed them. Nearly there is no Africans now in Benghazi.
So, who's in control? Who's in control where you are?
Here in my city, it is safe, but we are afraid from what they are telling us. What's coming from the west? They are telling that Africans are coming from the west to shoot on us.
No.
We are in the middle of Libya. Tripoli is about 700 kilometers away from us. Ishtabia is about 150 kilometers. Benghazi is about 400 kilometers. So we are in the middle.
Now, you're concerned.
Oil and gas processing company. So they are telling that they will shoot on the oil fields.
I've been told.
The danger that we are facing.
I've been told that you're concerned because you live very close to an oil refinery.
Yes. This is this is our danger, and this is what we are afraid of.
Why would you be afraid of the location you are because of the oil refinery? Do you think the oil refinery will be attacked?
This is what they are telling. We don't know what's true because each time they tell that they will attack something.
Well, for the moment, thank you very much for joining us to give us some insight as to what you're experiencing there in Ras Al Nouf. Thank you very much. Governments around the world are scrambling to get their citizens out of Libya. The Libyan government is providing